On Christmas Eve, moments before the Whitmore Foundation Gala reached its glittering peak, Claire Whitmore rolled her wheelchair into the shadows behind the ballroom stage and heard the sentence that shattered her world. All that money, and she's still broken. Who would ever want her now? The words sliced through her like ice, but what happened next stunned her even more. A few hours later, in a nearly empty coffee shop, a homeless little girl climbed into her lap, handed her half a cookie, and unknowingly changed the course of Claire's life forever. Stay with me, because the moment Claire lifted her eyes, everything began to unravel. On Christmas Eve, the ballroom at the Whitmore Foundation Gala glittered like something out of a movie. Crystal chandeliers, a string quartet in the corner, waiters gliding past with champagne flutes that cost more per bottle than some people earned in a month. Laughter floated through the room, polished and hollow. In the middle of all that perfection, Claire Whitmore felt like a crack in glass. She sat near the back of the ballroom, her wheelchair tucked behind a tall arrangement of white roses, watching people glide past in tuxedos and gowns. Her 3-carat diamond necklace caught the light every time she moved, throwing little constellations across the tablecloth. People stared at the stone, then at the chair, then away. She was used to that sequence by now. "Poor thing," a woman murmured somewhere behind her, not quite low enough. "All that money, and look at her. Who would want to marry someone like that?" Someone, not someone in a wheelchair. Someone like that, as if the chair erased everything else she was. Claire blinked hard, but the tears still pushed free. She backed her chair away from the table before anyone could see her cry and headed for the side entrance. A valet rushed to open the door. Cold air slapped her face, sharp and honest after the scented ballroom. "Miss Whitmore, your car is waiting," he said. "Tell Michael to go home," she answered. "I need to be alone. I will call security if I need them." He hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, ma'am. Merry Christmas." The words felt like a joke. Snow drifted down over Michigan Avenue, soft and relentless. Claire pushed her chair along the sidewalk, her white coat glowing against the dark glass of the high-rises. People hurried by with shopping bags and linked arms, rushing back to houses full of noise and warmth. Everyone seemed to be heading towards someone. She had no one left to go home to. 3 years earlier, she had walked into a car and woken up in a chair. A spinal cord injury, the doctor said. Maybe some movement, maybe not. No guarantees. 2 weeks after the accident, while tubes still snaked from her arms, Eric Dawson had slipped her engagement ring off her finger and set it on the metal tray beside her water cup. "I am sorry, Claire," he had said softly. "This is not the life I imagined." He had walked out of the room. Her legs never followed. She turned down a side street toward the warm glow of a small corner coffee shop. The bell over the door chimed as she rolled in. The place was almost empty, just a barista cleaning the counter and a couple in the back sharing a slice of cake. The smell hit her first: chocolate, coffee, and pine from the small artificial tree in the corner. Yellow fairy lights framed the windows, blinking slowly like sleepy stars. "Hot chocolate," she murmured to the barista. "Extra whipped cream." "Yes, ma'am," the young man said, giving her the quick, nervous smile people reserve for rich customers and disabled strangers. She took her drink to a table by the window. Outside, Chicago blurred into streaks of red and white, headlights and taillights sliding past. Snowflakes clung to the glass for a moment before melting and running down in crooked lines. Tears fell onto her hands, hot and helpless. Millions in the bank, her name on buildings, her company, Whitmore Holdings, influential enough to move markets. Yet she could not buy the one thing she wanted more than anything. Someone who stayed. "Why are you crying?" The voice was so small and clear that Claire thought, for a moment, she had imagined it. She looked up. A little girl stood next to her table. 4 years old, maybe 5 at most, bundled into a pink coat that had been washed so many times the color had faded. Her blue eyes were enormous, solemn and curious at the same time. In one mittened hand, she held half a cookie. "Here," the girl said, lifting it toward her. "When I cry, my daddy gives me cookies. They make it better." For 1 second, Claire forgot every rule she lived by. Every line about not getting close, not opening up, not trusting strangers. Her heart simply stopped and started again in a completely new rhythm. "Oh, honey," she whispered, her throat tight. "What is your name?" "Ivy," the girl said proudly, "like the plants that climb houses. Daddy says it is a strong plant. It hangs on no matter what." Before Claire could answer, a male voice cut through the air. "Ivy, no, sweetheart." The man who hurried over looked like he had been in a fight with the entire month of December and lost. Dark brown hair that needed a cut, a beard a few days past acceptable, a gray jacket that had seen better years, not just better days. His jeans were torn at the knees, and not in a way anyone would pay good money for. "I am so sorry, ma'am," he said, reaching for Ivy's hand. "She should not be bothering you." He finally met Claire's eyes. When their gazes locked, something in the room shifted, subtle and undeniable. He did not look at the chair. He did not look at the necklace. His expression did not flicker with the familiar calculation she knew so well, the one that weighed her net worth against her broken body. He just looked at her. A woman with red eyes on Christmas Eve. "She is not bothering me," Claire said quietly. Her own voice surprised her. It sounded more like the girl she used to be before boardrooms and lawsuits. She turned back to Ivy. "Ivy is a beautiful name." The girl studied her face with a seriousness that felt older than 4 years. "Are you still sad?" Ivy asked. "A little less," Claire admitted. She nodded at the cookie. "Thank you for sharing this with me." The man shifted, clearly uncomfortable. His hand tightened around Ivy's. "Come on, kiddo. Let the lady drink her hot chocolate. We have to go." "No." The word left Claire's mouth before she could stop it. Both of them froze. Heat rushed to her cheeks. "I mean," she corrected quickly, "it is very cold outside. Would you let me buy you both a hot chocolate?" He frowned, suspicion and pride flickering across his face. Up close, Claire could see how tired he looked, how his shoulders curved as if he carried something heavy that no one else could see. She noticed the way Ivy's small hands shook with cold. "We do not need charity," he said, his jaw tight. "It is not charity," Claire replied. "It is Christmas Eve and I do not want to sit here alone." Ivy tugged on his jacket. "Daddy, I am cold." And she is alone. He closed his eyes for a heartbeat. When he opened them again, there was something like surrender in his eyes. "One hot chocolate," he said, "then we will go." 10 minutes later, they were seated at her table. Ivy sat between them, legs swinging, both hands wrapped around her cup like it was made of gold. "Thank you," the man said finally, his voice quieter. "I am Noah Miller. This is Ivy, but you already know that." "I am Claire," she said. She waited for the spark of recognition, the almost inevitable widening of eyes that came with her last name. It did not come. "Nice to meet you, Claire," he said simply. They talked while the snow thickened outside. Ivy told a long, whining story about a cat at the shelter who stole her sock. In between her daughter's interruptions, Noah mentioned that he used to be an engineer, that he had worked for a company called Red Oak Construction that went under 3 years ago, that losing his job and his wife within a year had sent his life into a spiral he still had not climbed out of. He never once asked where Claire worked. He never asked how much her coat cost or why her watch looked like something that normally lived in a safe. He did not ask about the wheelchair at all. At some point, Ivy's head drooped. She slid off her chair and climbed into Claire's lap as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Claire did not dare move. The child's breath warmed her neck, slow and trusting. For 3 years, every touch had been clinical. Nurses, physical therapists, doctors, colleagues who patted her shoulder without meeting her eyes. No one had rested against her just because it felt safe to do so. Ivy did. Something in Claire that had been numb for a long time began to thaw. "We should let her sleep somewhere warm," Noah said at last, pushing back his chair. He lifted Ivy from Claire's lap with a carefulness that made her chest ache. "Thank you again, for the drinks, and for being kind to her." "Where will you go?" Claire asked. He hesitated. The truth flickered in his eyes before he covered it with a small, tired smile. "Where we always go," he said. "Good night, Claire." She watched them leave. Through the window, she saw him tuck Ivy into the worn pink coat and lead her down the sidewalk. When they reached the end of the block, he turned toward the river, toward the shadowed curve of the south underpass where the forgotten of the city gathered around trash fires and cardboard walls. Claire did not sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Ivy's blue gaze, heard her tiny voice asking why she was crying, felt that small, warm weight in her lap. The image of the little girl curled up under a bridge on Christmas Eve pressed against her chest until she could barely breathe. At 7 in the morning, she grabbed her phone with shaking hands and called her head of security. "Jordan," she said, voice hoarse, "I need you to find someone for me. His name is Noah Miller. He has a little girl named Ivy. They are living near the South River underpass." Jordan did not ask questions. "I am on it." It took 3 days. On the third, Claire's phone rang while she was in her office at Whitmore Holdings, a floor of glass and steel that suddenly felt less like power and more like a cage. "We found him," Jordan said. "There is a line at the downtown community shelter. He is in it, the kid too." "Pick me up out front in 5 minutes," Claire said, "and bring the low ramp car. I am going myself." As the black Mercedes pulled up to the curb outside the shelter, people in line turned to stare. Claire lowered the ramp and rolled herself down, the winter air slapping her cheeks awake. Noah was easy to spot. He was the one who stiffened when he saw her, the one whose arm tightened instinctively around the small girl at his side. "What are you doing here?" he demanded. "I have a proposal," Claire said, forcing her voice to stay steady. "I am in need of a personal driver. The position includes a room at my house and a competitive salary." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I told you I do not need your pity." "It is not pity," she answered. "It is a yell." "There are dozens of professional drivers in this city," he shot back. "But you came hunting down the guy who stood in a soup line." She felt color rise to her face. "You are right, I do not need you, but I saw the way you put your body between Ivy and the wind that night. I want someone like that in charge of my safety. That is all." He looked at her for a long moment. In his eyes, she saw pride, exhaustion, fear, and something else. Something like hope, trying very hard not to be noticed. Then he shook his head. "No," he said quietly, "we will be fine." Claire watched him turn away with Ivy's hand in his. Snow began to fall again, soft and relentless. As a viewer, if you were in Noah's place, would you say yes to Claire's offer and move into her world? Or would you walk away like he did? Yes or no? Snow was falling harder by the time Claire returned to the Whitmore estate that afternoon, but she barely noticed it. Her mind replayed the same image over and over, Ivy, small and shivering under that faded pink coat. Noah, proud and exhausted, trying to hold together a life that was already slipping between his fingers. It had been 3 days since the coffee shop. 3 days of imagining them sleeping on cold concrete under the South River underpass. 3 days of wondering how a world with so much could allow a 4-year-old girl to have so little. She hardly slept that night. When she did, she jolted awake with Ivy's voice in her ears. "Are you still sad?" It wasn't until the next morning, when sunlight crept past the mansion's tall windows, that Claire admitted to herself what she feared most about Noah's refusal. It wasn't pride, it wasn't stubbornness. It was how easily people disappeared in a city as big as Chicago. If she didn't act now, Noah and Ivy might vanish again into the endless stream of forgotten souls drifting from shelter to shelter. The thought struck her like a physical blow. So she tried again. 3 days after the shelter, Claire returned. This time, Noah wasn't standing in the line. He was inside, sitting on a wooden bench with Ivy leaning against his shoulder. Her little coat had a missing button. Noah was holding it closed with a hand that shook ever so slightly. "Do you want to try again?" Claire asked softly. Noah tensed. "Ms. Whitmore, we've talked about this." "I'm not offering pity," she said. "I'm offering stability. I'm offering safety. And most importantly, I'm offering a home for your daughter. She deserves better than this." "She deserves better," he agreed quietly. "But she deserves a father who doesn't take charity to survive." Claire studied him for a long moment. "Do you really believe that accepting help makes you less of a father? Or is it just something you tell yourself to survive all this?" Noah didn't answer. He only looked down at Ivy, brushing her hair back gently with a tenderness that made Claire's chest ache. A worker at the shelter called Noah's name. He stood, lifted Ivy into his arms, and walked past Claire without another word. She returned the next week. Snow had melted into icy gray slush. Noah was sweeping the sidewalk outside the shelter to work off a meal voucher. Ivy played beside him, drawing crooked hearts in the thin layer of frost on the pavement. When Claire approached, Noah didn't look surprised. If anything, he looked tired. "You're persistent," he said. "I've been called worse." "Why me?" he asked. "Why my daughter? Why not the hundreds of other people who line up at that shelter every night?" Claire held his gaze. "Because I saw the way you looked at Ivy in that coffee shop. I saw the way you protected her when you had nothing left. And I saw how she trusted me instantly. Like she knew something you didn't." He hesitated at that, just for a heartbeat. Then he turned away. "Ms. Whitmore, I appreciate the offer, I really do. But we'll find our own way." It should have ended there. Claire should have driven home and told herself she'd done enough. But something deeper pulled her back each time. Something she once believed she no longer had inside her. Hope, on her 4th visit, she found Noah sitting outside the shelter steps with Ivy curled tightly in his arms. The little girl's face was flushed. Her breath came in short, shaky gasps. Claire rushed over. "Noah, what's wrong?" "She's burning up," he said, voice trembling. It came out of nowhere. Claire didn't hesitate. "Hospital. Now." "I can't pay for—" "Get in the car." He didn't argue this time. Ivy whimpered softly against his chest as they settled her into the back seat of the Whitmore car. Noah held her close the entire ride, whispering soothing words that were more for himself than her. At the emergency room, doctors confirmed that Ivy had a respiratory infection. Serious, but treatable. She needed antibiotics, warm shelter, and close monitoring. When they handed Noah the prescription list, he stared at the page like it was a wall he'd never climb. Claire stepped forward. "I'll take care of it." "Claire, you're not arguing with me about this," she said firmly. "Not when her health is at stake." For a moment, all the fight drained out of him. He simply nodded. By nightfall, Ivy was resting in a freshly prepared guest bedroom inside the Whitmore estate. The room was simple but warm, with soft lamplight and a thick comforter pulled up to her chin. Noah stood in the doorway, arms folded, as if afraid his presence would shatter the quiet. Claire found him later in the winter garden, staring out at the falling snow. He didn't turn when he heard her approach. "She's safe," Claire said gently. "The doctor said she'll recover quickly." Noah nodded. "Thank you." Claire waited. Silence hung between them, heavy and fragile. Finally, Noah spoke. "I'll take the job." Claire exhaled softly, relief flooding her chest. "I'm glad." He shook his head. "Don't misunderstand. I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing this for Ivy. She needs stability. She needs warmth. She needs more than I can give her right now." "That doesn't make you weak," Claire said. "It makes you a father." For the first time since they'd met, Noah looked at her without armor, without distance, without the wall he'd built around himself. It made her heart stutter. The next morning, Noah began working as her driver. He was professional, focused, careful. He drove with steady hands and clear eyes, always checking the mirrors as if he were carrying something precious in the back seat. He spoke little, but his presence filled the quiet of the car. Over time, patterns formed. Claire noticed how he always positioned Ivy's seat closest to the heater vents, how he took the long way home if the streets were icy, how he double-checked Claire's ramp before lowering it, even when she insisted it wasn't necessary. And Noah noticed things too, how Claire traced the rim of her coffee cup when she was nervous, how she read reports silently mouthing the words, how she braced her hands on her wheels every time someone stared too long at her chair. One rainy afternoon, everything shifted. Claire was returning from a meeting. The driveway was thick with mud from the morning storm. When her wheels sank deep into the ground, she tried to push herself free. The mud only swallowed deeper. Then Noah was suddenly there, lifting her without a second thought. For a moment, the world stood still. Rain pattered against the hood of his jacket. His arms curled securely beneath her legs and back. Their faces were inches apart. Claire felt his breath on her cheek, warm despite the cold. "You're light," he murmured, as if surprised. "No," she whispered, pulse pounding. "You're strong." He didn't move, didn't speak, didn't look away. Something bright and dangerous and inevitable sparked between them. Later that night, in a penthouse office overlooking the city, Victor Hale watched security footage of the moment. He paused the screen on Claire and Noah's arms, their faces close enough to blur together. A slow, calculating smile spread across his face. He picked up his phone. "Find out everything about Noah Miller," he said. "I want his past, his debts, his failures, every secret." He hung up with a click that echoed like a warning. The story was no longer just about a woman in a wheelchair and a father fighting to survive. It had just become something far more dangerous. As a viewer, do you feel that Noah entering Claire's world is going to help him heal? Or do you sense trouble ahead because of people like Victor? Yes or no? Claire woke the next morning with a strange feeling in her chest, something sharp and soft at the same time. Maybe it was hope. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was both. What she didn't know yet was that the fragile peace she had built with Noah and Ivy was about to be tested in a way none of them could have imagined. It happened 3 weeks after Noah started working for her. One afternoon, Claire was in her office at Whitmore Holdings when Jordan knocked once and stepped inside without waiting for permission. He never did that unless something was terribly wrong. "Claire," he said, his voice low, "you need to see this." He handed her a folder. Inside were photos of Noah at the company headquarters, browsing through office directories on a computer, screenshots of search histories showing internal files. Claire felt her vision tighten. This can't be right. "I'm afraid Victor is behind this," Jordan said. "He brought this to the board, claiming Noah is gathering information for a competing firm." Claire stared at the documents, her heart sinking. The images looked incriminating. Clear, methodical. Someone had crafted this beautifully. "Noah would never do this," she whispered. "Victor's plan is to bring this to the board tomorrow," Jordan continued. "He wants to open an investigation and remove you as CEO." Claire had known Victor for years, but she had never seen the full depth of his ambition until now. He had the resources, the ego, and the cruelty necessary to destroy someone simply because they stood in his way. She didn't sleep that night. She barely breathed. By morning, she had decided to talk to Noah herself to show him the files before Victor blindsided him. But before she could leave her study, the doors burst open. Noah stood there, his eyes blazing with betrayal. "Tell me you didn't do this," he said, throwing a stack of papers onto her desk. "Tell me you didn't hire someone to dig up every humiliating detail of my life." Claire's stomach dropped. "Noah, I didn't. I swear I didn't." "You expect me to believe that?" His voice cracked. "My wife's medical history, my debts, old court records, things I never told anyone, things I tried to forget." "Noah, please," Claire pleaded. "I never approved any investigation. My mother or Victor must have done this. You know I wouldn't." A new voice echoed from the doorway. "I did?" Margaret said. Claire turned, stunned. "Mom?" Margaret walked inside, expression stiff and cold, but her eyes flickered with something that looked like fear. "I hired the investigator. I had to be sure he wasn't using you." "Using me?" Claire repeated, incredulous. "Mom, after everything you've seen, after everything they have been through, you still believe he's after my money?" "I believe people change when they're desperate," Margaret said sharply. "I believe the world is full of men who pretend to care." Noah let out a hollow laugh. "I should have known your world would never let someone like me in." "It's not like that," Claire said desperately. "Noah, please look at me." He did, and what she saw in his eyes broke her open. Pain, exhaustion, and something worse. Disappointment. "I'm done," he said quietly. "I quit. Immediately." "Noah, don't do this," Claire whispered. "Goodbye, Claire." He turned and walked out. Ivy's small voice floated in from the hallway, asking him why he was crying. Claire felt her throat close. By the time she reached the door, Noah and Ivy were gone. For 2 days, she didn't leave her room. For 2 days, the mansion felt silent and wrong. Then Jordan came with another folder, one that made Claire stop breathing. "We found a proof," he said. "Victor sabotaged Red Oak Construction, the company Noah worked for. He destroyed their contracts, leaked their internal plans, and pushed them into bankruptcy. 40 families lost everything, including Noah." Claire stared at him, numb. "And there's more," Jordan continued. "The espionage evidence against Noah, completely fabricated. And the child services report accusing him of neglect, traced back to Victor's assistant." Claire's hands trembled. "He tried to take Ivy away." "He tried to take everything," Jordan said. Claire didn't wait. She ordered the car and went straight to the downtown shelter. Ivy spotted her first, running across the room with the pure joy only a child could feel. "Miss Claire," Ivy cried, launching herself into her arms. "Daddy's sad. He cries at night." Claire held her close, throat burning. She found Noah sitting alone at the back exit, staring into the gray winter, scared. "What are you doing here?" he asked without looking at her. "I came to give you the truth," she said, handing him the folder. Noah flipped through it. Halfway through, his hands began to shake. When he finished, he shut his eyes, crushed under the weight of everything he had carried for years. "All this time," he whispered, "I thought I failed my family." "You didn't fail anyone," Claire said. "You were a victim of my company's corruption." Noah let out a long, shuddering breath. "Why did you come back?" "Because I care about you," Claire said. "Because I care about Ivy. Because the last 3 months were the first time I felt alive in years." Before he could answer, a voice shouted from behind them, "Mr. Miller, we're here for the child." 2 police officers and a social worker approached, the same one from before. Noah stood instantly. Claire wheeled forward. "You are not taking her," Claire said sharply. "Not without evidence." "We have a new report," the social worker said. "Anonymous." Claire stepped closer. "Show me." The woman hesitated, then she handed over the report. Claire scanned it and her stomach dropped. "It's Victor," she said. "I can prove it." That night, Noah and Ivy returned to the Whitmore estate. Ivy's cough worsened until she struggled to breathe. Noah panicked. Claire stayed calm. They rushed her to the hospital. Pneumonia, severe. Claire didn't leave Ivy's bedside. Neither did Noah. He slept in a chair, his hand wrapped around his daughter's small fingers. Claire held her other hand and whispered stories until the girl drifted to sleep. On the 6th day, Ivy opened her eyes and whispered one word that made both adults freeze. "Mom." She looked at Claire, with certainty, with trust. Claire burst into tears. Noah didn't stop her. He pulled both of them close. 3 days later, the board meeting began. Victor smiled as Claire entered. His smile vanished when she placed a stack of documents on the table. Emails, bank transfers, the sabotage trail linking him to Red Oak, the false report filed against Noah, the forged evidence of espionage. Police arrived minutes later. Victor Hale was arrested in front of the entire boardroom. When he passed Claire, he hissed, "Your father would be ashamed." Claire met his eyes. "My father taught me to protect people, not destroy them." The board voted unanimously to keep her as CEO. After the meeting, Margaret approached, her face pale. "I was wrong," she whispered. "Noah loves you. He loves Ivy. I nearly destroyed something pure because I was afraid. Can you forgive me?" Claire took her mother's shaking hands. "Yes, we can rebuild." 1 year later, on Christmas Eve, Claire stood in the garden of the Whitmore estate. The arches were wrapped in white roses. Snow drifted down. 200 guests stood as she rose from her wheelchair, gripping the support bars, and took her first steps down the aisle. Noah met her halfway, tears streaming down his face. Ivy jumped between them, laughing. Claire reached the altar on her own feet. The ceremony was simple, perfect, and full of every emotion she thought she had lost forever. When the officiant said the final words, Ivy shouted happily, "Now you can kiss her, Daddy!" Laughter erupted through the garden. Later, the three of them slipped into the winter garden. Ivy slept in Claire's lap as Noah wrapped an arm around both of them. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "That night," Claire whispered. "The coffee shop, the snow, the moment Ivy handed me half a cookie and asked why I was crying. That was the moment everything changed," Noah said. "You saved us." "No," Claire replied softly. "You saved me." They kissed gently as snow drifted against the glass. As you're watching this story unfold, do you believe that love truly finds us exactly when we need it most, even in the most unexpected moments? Yes or no? If this story moved you, share your feelings below and let me know what you think about Claire, Noah, and little Ivy. If you enjoyed this journey, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Tell me which country you're watching from, and share this video with someone who needs a reminder that hope and love still exist in this world.